Coming up, Japan dodges the G20 bullet on its aggressive monetary policy. Plus, thousands slug it out in a massive tomato fight in Chile. Find out why later in the show. So, a positive result for Japan after finance ministers and central bankers of the world's biggest economies did not single out Tokyo for its bold reflation plans. Those policies, of course, have sent the yen tumbling and reignited talk of a global currency war. Japanese shares surged more than 2% today, closing in on a new 4-year high. The yen weakened further, falling towards a new 3-year low against the dollar, after Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said buying foreign bonds may be among options open for the Bank of Japan. We'll hear with more on that and what the G20 means for markets in general. I'm joined by James Hughes, Chief Market Analyst at Alpari. James, morning. Let's start with dollar yen and the Nikkei. It seems like both are going to the moon.
Morning. Yeah, we have seen those real moves, to be perfectly honest, after this G20. Now, we had the two statements. We had the G7 earlier last week. We had the G20. Those statements fairly similar. No surprises there necessarily. But, of course, it's this broad support for Japan and what they're doing with their monetary policy. Now, of course, that's led the Nikkei to move higher. Very, very positive news for Japanese equity markets. And we see the Nikkei really have a big move overnight. Of course, that's then negative for the yen. So we've got that dollar yen, which is this relentless move at the moment, which we really can't get anything. Nothing can get in the way of it at the moment. We're approaching some big levels on that, but at the moment it seems that move is just relentless on the upside. We've seen something like 4 down weeks in the last 5 months or so. So it's a real big move that really does seem to be running ahead full of steam. And when it's supported by the G20 and G7 like it has been over the weekend, then in terms of fundamentals, it seems like there's nothing in the way.
Okay, well that's Japan. These markets, but here in Europe, I'm just looking. European markets opening flat to lower. It doesn't seem to be there's much momentum from G20 feeding across and from Japan feeding into Europe today.
Yeah, I think there's maybe a couple of reasons for that. I mean, OK, we did get a positive move in Asia overnight, Nikkei higher, as we've already discussed. But, of course, you've got the one big thing that's happening today is that the US is on holiday. Of course, we always see that, however much we like to admit it or not. We need the US markets to be open to get that volume in European markets. So that's not open to start off with. We've got a couple of big things going on today, though, of course. I mean, in their statement yesterday from the G20, we did get that hint towards the Eurozone maybe looking to having a little bit of leeway in terms of cutting rates again. However, that really hasn't come across into what we've seen in markets so far today. And we've also got Mario Draghi speaking today at the European Committee. He's going to be grilled on everything that's come out of that G20 meeting, of course. So there's maybe a little bit of caution ahead of that as well. But it does seem, haven't got that volume in the US. That's the underlying fact that we're not necessarily going to get much volume in European markets today at all.
OK, thank you very much. In Cyprus, Conservative leader Nikos Anastasiadis won the first round in the presidential election, but failed to secure an outright win, so a runoff vote will be required. If he wins that, Anastasiadis then has a tough hill to climb to convince EU and IMF lenders to sign off on a rescue before Cyprus faces a €1.4 billion debt repayment in June. UK Prime Minister David Cameron arrives in India today on a trade mission. His delegation is the biggest ever taken abroad by a UK Prime Minister, underlining just how important it is for the UK to win business from India in the face of fierce global competition. However, Cameron's going to find it hard to persuade India to buy more military kit. It coincides with India saying it wants to cancel a mega deal for a dozen helicopters made by AgustaWestland, the Anglo-Italian subsidiary of Italy's Finmeccanica, over bribery claims. In corporate news, weakness in Western Europe hurt sales at the world's 4th biggest brewer, Carlsberg. That, along with a stagnant Russian market, meant Carlsberg reported Q4 operating earnings slightly below forecasts. The company now expects a mid-single-digit % rise in adjusted net profit for 2013. And if you like tomatoes, the annual War of the Tomato in Chile might be your thing. An estimated 7,000 people descended on the Chilean city of Quillon on Saturday to lob more than 40 tonnes of tomatoes at each other. Local tomato growers provided the fruit to raise the local crop's national profile. That's it for now. I'll leave you with our pick of the day, which comes from Reuters photographer Max Rossi. Pope Benedict asking the faithful in Rome to pray for him and the next pope in his penultimate Sunday Mass before he resigns. I'm Jamie McGeever. This is Reuters.